After the age of 50, your brain starts doing something most people never notice. It does not slow down. It does not collapse. It does not lose power. Instead, your brain begins reorganizing itself for survival clarity and emotional strength. This single truth changes everything you believe about memory, focus intelligence, and emotional control after midlife. But almost no one explains this correctly. Most people are told one of two things. Either they are told aging means mental decline, or they are told positive thinking and puzzles will save everything. Both ideas are incomplete, because the brain after 50 does not work the same way it did at 30. It does not respond to pressure the same way. It does not grow through force. It grows through alignment. When you understand what actually changes inside your brain after midlife, you stop fighting yourself. You stop blaming forgetfulness. You stop forcing productivity systems that exhaust you. And that is when real rewiring begins. Earlier in life, the brain focuses on speed, novelty, and expansion. After 50, the brain focuses on stability, efficiency, and emotional regulation. This is not decline, this is evolution. Your brain is no longer trying to collect more information. It is trying to filter what matters. It is no longer impressed by noise. It is drawn to meaning. The problem is, most people keep using young brain strategies on an older brain. This mismatch creates fatigue, brain fog, irritation, and loss of confidence. Not because the brain is damaged, but because it is being used incorrectly. After midlife, constant busyness becomes neurological stress. Too many tasks, too much information, too many decisions. Each one steals energy from your brain. Younger brains recover fast. Older brains protect energy. When ignored, the brain activates defense systems. Stress hormones rise, memory access weakens, focus fragments. People think they are losing sharpness. In reality, the brain is asking for respect. Normal aging does not mean inevitable cognitive decline. Brain scans show many people over 50 develop stronger neural networks related to judgment, emotional intelligence, and pattern recognition. Reaction time may slow. Understanding deepens. This is why older adults often make calmer, wiser decisions. But this only happens when the brain is allowed to rewire properly. Neuroplasticity does not disappear after 50. What changes is how it is activated. Young brains grow through novelty and competition. Older brains grow through safety, relevance, and meaning. When novelty comes without safety, the brain resists. When effort comes without purpose, the brain shuts down. This is why pushing harder after 50% often makes things worse. Your brain uses a large amount of your body energy. After midlife, it becomes protective. Before engaging deeply, it asks one question: is this worth it? If the answer is no, attention, motivation, and memory drop. This is not laziness. This is efficiency. Some people become calmer, and more focused after 50. They are not lucky. They unknowingly align their habits with the brain's new operating system. They reduce unnecessary input. They move in ways that calm the nervous system. They manage emotional stress intentionally. They stay connected to meaningful roles. These are not random healthy habits. These are rewiring habits. There are 4 of them. But before we begin, something important must be understood. Willpower is expensive. It drains energy. It increases stress. It creates burnout. After midlife, the brain rewires through rhythm, environment, and consistency, not force. This series is not about becoming younger. It is not about fighting age. It is about understanding your brain's new priorities and working with its design. If you are over 50 and you care about mental clarity, emotional balance, and long-term brain health, welcome to Smart Brain Senior. Subscribe now, because every part of this series builds on the previous one, the habit that reduces mental overload and opens the door for true brain rewiring after 50. When the brain crosses midlife, something subtle but powerful happens. The brain stops responding to pressure and starts responding to environment. This is the most misunderstood shift in aging. People think discipline builds strength, but after 50%, discipline without safety damages the brain. The first habit that rewires the aging brain is not about doing more. It is about removing constant mental load. Mental load is not stress alone. Mental load is unfinished thinking, decisions waiting, tasks floating, information without closure. Every open loop pulls energy from the brain. Young brains tolerate this easily. Older brains do not. After 50, the brain values completion over accumulation. This is why cluttered days exhaust you, even when nothing physical is happening. Your brain is constantly asking, what is unresolved? Each unresolved thought keeps stress hormones slightly elevated. This blocks memory consolidation, reduces emotional regulation, and creates background anxiety. Most people think they are anxious for no reason. The reason is cognitive overload. Habit 1 is mental simplification, not minimalism, not quitting responsibilities, but reducing unnecessary decision-making. The brain, after 50%, rewires fastest when decision count drops. This is supported by neuroscience. The prefrontal cortex, which handles decisions, becomes more selective with age. It prefers fewer, higher-quality choices. When forced into constant small decisions, it fatigues. This is why simple routines suddenly feel calming, wearing similar clothes, eating familiar meals, following predictable schedules. These are not signs of aging, they are signs of neurological efficiency. High-performing, older adults unknowingly do this. They design their life so the brain can rest between meaningful efforts. Rest does not mean sleep. Rest means no decision pressure, silence, familiarity, predictability. This creates a state where neuroplasticity activates. Plasticity does not require excitement. It requires safety. When the brain feels safe, it rewires. When it feels rushed, it defends. This is why multitasking becomes harmful after 50. Multitasking fragments attention, and attention is the currency of brain health. One task at a time strengthens neural pathways. Many tasks weaken all of them. People confuse busyness with usefulness, but the brain values depth, not speed. When you slow down and focus fully, your brain builds stronger connections. This improves memory, emotional stability, and mental clarity. The brain also becomes more emotionally intelligent because it now has space to process feelings. Many people after 50% experience emotional sensitivity. They think something is wrong. But sensitivity is not weakness. It is signal detection. The brain is noticing subtle emotional cues because it is no longer drowning in noise. But if the environment stays chaotic, this sensitivity turns into overwhelm. Habit 1 teaches the brain it is safe again. Safe to focus, safe to remember, safe to feel. Practical examples of this habit are simple. Limit daily priorities to 3. Finish one thing before starting another. Reduce exposure to constant news and alerts. Create predictable morning and evening routines. These actions lower cognitive friction. When friction drops, neural energy increases. That energy is then used for growth, not survival. This is how the brain rewires, not through motivation, through relief. Relief tells the nervous system, we are not under threat. When threat signals drop, the hippocampus strengthens, memory improves, learning becomes easier. This is why many people report sudden clarity when they simplify life. They think clarity came from rest. It actually came from rewiring. This habit alone can change how your brain feels within weeks. Calmer, more focused, more emotionally balanced. But it is only the foundation. Because once mental overload reduces, the brain becomes ready for deeper change. Now that mental overload has reduced, the brain enters a new phase. This phase is emotional recalibration. After 50, the brain stops prioritizing external approval and starts prioritizing internal alignment. This is why emotional intelligence peaks in midlife, but only if habit 2 is activated. Habit 2 is emotional exposure with control. Most people misunderstand emotions. They think avoiding emotions keeps them stable. In reality, avoidance weakens emotional circuits. Young brains can suppress emotions. Older brains cannot. Suppression creates internal conflict, and conflict consumes neural energy. After 50, the brain rewires through emotional processing, not emotional avoidance. When emotions are felt fully and safely, the limbic system reorganizes. This improves emotional regulation, decision clarity, and social intelligence. People who feel emotionally strong after 50 are not emotionally tougher. They are emotionally honest. The why allow emotions to pass through. instead of trapping them inside. Trapped emotions keep the nervous system alert. Alert systems block repair. This is why unresolved emotional stress damages memory, focus, and sleep. Habit 2 teaches the brain. Emotions are information, not danger. This shift is critical. When the brain feels safe experiencing emotion, the amygdala reduces reactivity. Less reactivity means less stress hormone release. This protects the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory. It also strengthens emotional recall, helping you understand people better. This is why many older adults suddenly read people more accurately. They notice tone shifts, micro-expressions, energy changes. This is emotional intelligence. But when emotions are avoided, this sensitivity becomes anxiety. The difference is processing. Processing means acknowledging, naming, and allowing emotions to complete their cycle. Not reacting, not suppressing, just allowing. This activates the medial prefrontal cortex, which improves empathy and judgment. The brain becomes wiser, not slower. Habit 2 in practice looks simple, but it is powerful. Daily emotional check-ins. Asking yourself what you actually feel, not what you think you should feel. Allowing moments of sadness without distraction. Allowing moments of joy without guilt. Reducing emotional noise from toxic conversations and unnecessary conflict. Choosing depth over drama. This is why older brains prefer fewer, deeper relationships. It is not isolation, it is neural efficiency. Each emotionally meaningful interaction strengthens the brain. Each shallow, draining interaction weakens it. This is why social boundaries become essential after 50. Boundaries protect emotional circuits. When emotional circuits are protected, cognitive circuits thrive. The brain now has stability. Stability allows neuroplasticity to focus on growth, not defense. This is where emotional intelligence becomes visible. Better conflict handling, better listening, less impulsive reaction. You pause, reflect, then respond. This pause is not weakness, it is neurological mastery. High-performing leaders after 50 operate from this pause. They do not rush, they observe. Observation strengthens neural integration. Integration connects logic and emotion. This connection defines emotional intelligence. But this habit requires courage, because feeling fully requires presence. And presence is uncomfortable for untrained minds. But once trained, the brain becomes resilient. Not hard, resilient. This habit alone reduces chronic stress, improves sleep quality, and stabilizes mood. It prepares the brain for habit 3, because once emotions are processed, the brain becomes ready for physical reinforcement. Now the brain is emotionally stable, and emotional stability unlocks physical intelligence. After 50, the brain no longer separates body and mind. They become one system. This is where habit 3 begins. Habit 3 is strategic physical MO. The ment. Not exercise for appearance, not exercise for youth, but movement for neural activation. Most people think exercise is about muscles. After 50, it is about signals. Movement sends repair signals to the brain, but only specific types of movement. Random activity helps the heart, but intentional movement rewires the brain. After midlife, the brain responds best to slow, controlled rhythmic motion, walking with awareness, balance-based movement, resistance with focus. These movements activate the cerebellum, which controls coordination, timing, and learning. A strong cerebellum protects memory, focus, and emotional regulation. This is why people who walk daily age better cognitively. But the key is intention. Mindless movement gives partial benefit. Mindful movement rewires neural maps. When the brain senses controlled effort, it releases growth factors. These factors repair synapses, strengthen white matter, and improve signal speed. This directly improves mental clarity. Another critical area activated by movement is the hippocampus. This area shrinks under stress, but expands with movement. After 50, even small expansion improves recall, navigation, and emotional balance. This is why people who stop moving mentally decline faster. Stillness without movement becomes stagnation, but movement without chaos becomes medicine. Habit 3 also regulates insulin sensitivity, which directly affects brain aging. High blood sugar damages neural tissue. Movement reduces this damage. This is not about intensity, it is about consistency. Daily moderate movement outperforms intense sporadic workouts. The brain loves predictability. Predictable movement creates safety signals. Safety allows repair. This is why routines matter more after 50. When the body moves at regular times, the brain synchronizes repair cycles. Sleep improves, mood stabilizes, focus sharpens. But there is another hidden benefit. Movement reconnects identity. After midlife, many people lose identity. Career shifts, role changes, social changes, movement restores agency. Each movement session tells the brain, I am capable, I am active, I am in control. This psychological signal strengthens motivation circuits. Motivation protects the brain. A motivated brain resists degeneration. Habit 3 also improves posture, which affects oxygen flow to the brain. Better oxygen improves attention, decision speed, and creativity. This is why upright posture improves confidence. Confidence is neurological alignment. When posture aligns, the brain processes information faster. This habit transforms energy. People report feeling younger, not because age reversed, but because efficiency improved. The brain wastes less energy. It works smarter. But movement alone is not enough. Without the final habit, the brain may strengthen, but not stabilize. Now the brain is strong, focused, and active, but strength without direction fades. This is where habit 4 begins. Habit 4 is meaning-driven focus. AF. After 50, the brain no longer thrives on stimulation. It thrives on purpose. Younger brains chase speed. Older brains protect meaning. This is a biological shift, not a weakness. When purpose disappears, the brain reduces investment. This is why retirement without direction accelerates decline. The brain asks one question: why should I stay sharp? If it finds no answer, it slowly powers down. But when meaning is present, the brain enters preservation mode. Purpose activates the prefrontal cortex. This area governs judgment, wisdom, emotional regulation. It is the most powerful region of the mature brain. When you engage in meaningful activity, teaching, guiding, creating, helping, the brain releases dopamine in balanced amounts, not addictive, not chaotic, stable motivation. This protects against depression, anxiety, and cognitive fog. Purpose also regulates stress hormones. Stress without meaning is toxic. Stress with meaning becomes manageable. This is why people who feel needed age better. The brain protects what feels useful. Even small roles matter. Daily contribution rewires identity. Identity tells the brain who you are. After 50, many people unconsciously adopt a decline identity. They say, I am old, I am slow, I am done. The brain listens and obeys. But when identity shifts to, I am experienced, I am valuable, I am still growing, the brain adapts. Neural circuits reorganize around contribution. This is neuroplasticity with direction. Habit 4 also includes selective focus. After midlife, the brain rejects noise. Multitasking becomes damaging. Single task focus becomes powerful. When you focus on one meaningful task, the brain enters coherence. Signals synchronize. Memory improves. Learning accelerates. This is why older minds excel at deep thinking, but only when allowed. Constant distraction kills this advantage, reducing unnecessary input. News overload, digital noise, chaotic schedules protects cognitive energy, less input, more depth. This is the mature brain advantage. Another key is emotional boundaries. After 50, emotional overextension weakens the brain. Saying no is neurological self-defense. Boundaries protect attention. Attention protects memory. Memory protects identity. This habit stabilizes everything. Sleep becomes deeper. Stress becomes lower. Movement becomes more effective. Emotional control strengthens. Now all 4 habits lock together. Calm attention, emotional regulation, intentional movement, purpose-driven focus. This is the complete brain rewiring system after 50%. Not hype, not motivation. biology. This is why some minds sharpen with age, while others collapse. The difference is not genetics, it is habits. If you are watching this, your brain is capable, it is listening. What you choose next, it will follow. Welcome to Smart Brain Senior. This channel exists for one reason, to protect and strengthen minds after 50. If this made sense to you, subscribe now. Your brain deserves guidance, not neglect. Stay here, stay sharp, stay purposeful.